Now.
We always like to get right to the source, Marissa, so let's do that right now. For more on those tapes and what comes next, Washington Post national political reporter Amy Gardner joins us now. Amy, really appreciate your time. Since this came out, obviously a lot of feedback. To you, what was the most compelling or newsworthy or potentially damaging part of this phone call?
I think that it was the threat that Trump appeared to be making to Secretary Brad Raffensperger and his lawyer, Ryan Germany. He said that what they were doing by not acting to find these 11,700 votes, that it was risky for them to do that, and that it was criminal. And, you know, that's a pretty clear threat coming from someone with the power to, you know, push for a federal criminal investigation with the Department of Justice. And so there's been a lot of talk about whether that crosses the line into a quid pro quo or extortion. But, you know, the other thing that was really kind of stunning about the tape was that it put to life and voice this obsession and desperation that we've been reading about for a number of weeks from the president, unwilling to accept or unable to accept his defeat. But so in one respect, it wasn't surprising to the content of the call, but hearing him actually speaking those words for over an hour was stunning, I think, for all of us who listened, because he just sounded so desperate, so unwilling to let go.
To your first point that you made there, and just to back this up, a number of pundits have come out and they've argued, look, is this enough for criminal charges? Is it abuse of power? Is it an impeachable offense? Based on the people that you talk to, do you think any of those are true?
Well, anything is an impeachable offense if the Congress decides to impeach. I mean, that's a prerogative of Congress. I mean, he's only in office for 16 more days. So, the idea of them doing that now is just not going to happen. But, you know, the definition of impeachable is a completely subjective prerogative of the Congress. As far as the criminal investigation, what legal scholars, law professors told me when I was reporting this out over the weekend is that it's not, they think it's a mistake to get bogged in the weeds of whether he committed a crime or whether it's prosecutable, because you have to prove that he knew that he was asking for a crime to be committed. And, you know, you could argue that he believes that there was actually fraudulent voting happening and that he's asking Brad Raffensperger to sniff it out and overturn it. I mean, many of us are a little bit skeptical of that because there's so much evidence, irrefutable evidence, that many of his allegations are simply false. But proving that he knew, being inside his head, is very difficult in court. And so what's more important to these scholars is simply to point out that whether or not he's ever prosecuted, what he did on the call is a gross violation, abuse of presidential power. You
know, for those who have not listened to the entire hour-long conversation, which the Washington Post did put that out in transcript form and audio form, right out of the gate, Amy, in this transcript, you know, the first argument he seems to make is, and I'll read it from the transcript, you even see it by rally size, we'd be getting 25 to 30,000 people. The competition would get less than 100, and that did not make sense. That is a storyline he's gone back to numerous times, but did he provide in this hour-long conversation any evidence, any proof, any facts to argue his point?
No, none at all. And in fact, Brad Raffensperger made the point that his office, which has an investigative unit that's a sworn law enforcement unit, they've investigated every allegation of fraud in Georgia. They found 2 instances where votes were cast in the name of dead people, not the 5,000 that Trump's lawyers claim they have found. And so there's no evidence for the claims that he's making. He also says that the Dominion voting machines were rigged and flipped votes from Biden to Trump. This is demonstrably untrue because Brad Raffensperger ordered up a hand recounted audit of every ballot in Georgia cast for the presidential race.
Amy, I want to jump in real quick because because unfortunately we're out of time here. But I want to point out to our viewers that whether this was recorded in Georgia or in D.C., it's a one-party consent system in both jurisdictions. But as we let you go, can you share any information at all about how you either obtained this or where it was recorded?
Nope.
Had to ask, Amy.
I got the recording from somebody who legally recorded the call and who believed that the American people should hear it.
All right, Amy Gardner from the Washington Post broke the story over the weekend. I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, Wisdom.